everybody, and today I'm going to show you how to build a lake house. So, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start fresh with the new base plate. The reason why I like to use the new base plate for this is because of the lighting that they give us. So, I'm going to delete this spawn first, and the next thing I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to install the day-night cycle, dynamic lighting, and sprint realistic head movement from the Realism Mod. If you don't have the Realism Mod, I'll put the link down in the description if you're interested. So, now I'm going to do the terrain editor. Go to the terrain editor on the home tab. And I'm going to zoom out so I can see the base plate. And actually, I'm going to change my lighting a little bit. I'm going to put it on future. If you want if you want like something that runs smoothly, I'd recommend voxel compatibility. I'm gonna turn my environmental diffuse and specular off. I'm gonna set those to 0. And I'm gonna change the atmosphere density to about 204.204. The sky, I think I'll leave that. And time of day, I'll put 14 because that's the default, and it's on a night and day cycle. So I'm gonna go to terrain on the workspace and explorer, and I'm gonna make sure decorations enabled. And what that does, it gives you the blades of grass on the smooth terrain grass. And now I'm going to click the plus sign on terrain, and I'm going to type clouds. And this is going to give us some clouds. And so we click the clouds, and we're going to change the cover to our liking here and the density. So the lower the number, the thinner and wispier the clouds are. The heavier, the darker, thicker the clouds are. I'm going to do somewhere in the kind of for my place. And these clouds are animated, so I'm going to put my cursor right here. I'm going to leave it still. And you can see that the clouds are approaching my cursor. And now they're going past it. So they're already animated and everything. So now that I've put some lighting in place, I'm going to click generate. And I found that the size that fits a base plate the best is 2050 for the X, 2050 for the Z, and if you want the terrain above the base plate entirely on the Y, it's about 210. I'm gonna go 200 because I'm not leaving it at 512, and I'm gonna put the terrain height about 600. Shift it up to 300. There we go. Now we have the blue box. This is going to be where all the terrain's generated. And we're going to select what kind of biomes we want. I want water, plains, mountains, and hills. And I think I'll do some canyons, and then generate. It'll take a little bit for the terrain to generate, so give it some time. And if you're not happy with it, you can always regenerate the terrain. Okay, so it has generated the terrain, and I wasn't happy with the canyons and such, so if you want one more like mine, then you select hills, marsh, mountains, water. And that's what you would get from it. And already can see where the best place would most likely be for the lake house, and it's gonna be right here. Now I don't really want this platform of like mud here, so I'm going to go to the edit section on the terrain editor. I'm gonna go to paint, and I'm going to select water, and I'm gonna paint the little island of land here. I don't want it here. Okay, so now that I've got all of this painted, I'm going to go to flatten, and I'm going to turn ignore water off, and I'm going to pick the third flattening mode, I think. See if it does what I'm going to do. Yeah, okay. So I'm gonna like try and level it off with the rest of the water as much close as possible. So it's kind of not filling up to where I want it to, so I'm gonna try the second flat mode. See if I can get to fill up. So I'm gonna try the first one. That's not doing it either. So I'll try the position, then I'm gonna go to the square. So I can't get it to fill up, so I'm just going to remove a layer to even it all out. Okay, so now that I've flattened the water as much as I could, best I could, I'm going to clean up all of the bits of terrain sticking out. And so to do that, I'm going to go to paint. I'm going to keep ignore water on for now, and I'm going to click over the bits that I don't want out. If I hold it, it's just going to cut through the terrain, so keep that in mind. If you don't want like canyons under your water, click. So I kind of made a mess down here, so I'm going to quickly fix this real quick. Okay, so I cleaned up the bottom. It's not perfect, but it looks a little better, especially from above. And you obviously don't want it to look bad if a player is coming in here swimming around because you're going to see it. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clean up the edges a bit, and I'm going to paint the edges a bit with some mud and a little bit of rock too, so that it looks a little bit more cleaner and more realistic. And if you were watching me clean up, I was just going between grow, erode, smooth, and paint. And I was going back and forth between all those tools and cleaning up as I go, because there was a lot to clean up, and I didn't want to make you guys have to watch the whole thing in real time, because that would take a long time, honestly, and be pretty boring. So it looks pretty cleared up a bit. It could always clear up more as we go, but now, actually here, I'm gonna clean this section up a little. There. So now we need to decide where we want the house, and I'm going to put it right around here. And for this house to, sit well, we gotta clear out terrain. So, going to pick a level that I want the house to be at, and I'm going to flatten the terrain. I need it on center, especially if you have it on center. There we go. And when you're flattening, make sure you do not let go of your left click. You want to hold it down so it stays on the same plane. And I'm not going to flatten out this whole area. I'm just going to flatten out as much as I think I need, as much space as I think I'll need, or roughly. And I'll do a little bit more just to make sure I have enough space for the house. And I don't want to do a huge house or anything. I just want to make sure I have enough space for what I'm doing. And there's like this gap here, so I'm going to fill that in, not with water, but auto material. And it'll fill it up with this material that you have here. And we could probably flatten that back out. There we go. We will clean up the terrain after the house has been built. We're going to make the terrain look more normal. But for now, we're just going to have it roughed in. So, for now we're done with the terrain editor, so we can close that. And in the view tab, let's open our properties window back up, because I closed it so I had more space. If by chance you don't have some of the tools, you can enroll in beta channel and make sure like the terrain tools are enabled and such here, and click save. And you may or may not have to restart Studio. And remember to always save. And if you're not ready to publish your game, just do save. And don't publish as, because it'll make it public. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're going to rough out what house we want. And I do have a reference photo right here, and it's gonna be on my left display, but this is my reference photo. And so this house, it has like a dock right here on on a foundation type plate here. We have the siding of this lake, and we have like a floating garage here, and it's a pretty smallish house, and that's what I'm going to go for. I'm going to put this towards like the middle here, and I'm going to scale this so that the grass no longer sticks through it. And it may hang over the cliff. It's going to hang over the cliff a bit too, because it's a lake house. So we're going to hang it over the cliff a bit. And scale it back here. Some, and I think I'm going to make about that big for the deck. Actually, I'm going to scoot this over because I need more space for the garage. And I'm going to have a little bit of a section over here. I'm going to snap these corners here, and I'm going to have a section in the middle here. Just a small one. And then I'm going to copy and paste this, and I'm going to I think I'm going to make this about 10 studs thick and bring this out to about 84. And I'm going to bring this out to approximately about here. And you don't have to make it the same size or copy me exactly. I'm not even copying the picture exactly either. I just use it as a reference. So, we're going to cut out this piece of terrain, but first, we're going to drag these all the way down to the lake floor. Maybe a little bit past it. Set in place. We're not going to do that with the deck though, because the deck is going to be using support beams. This down too. We're not going to be able to see very well. You can always go in the terrain and use the snapping feature of After X and pull that down. So we're going to go to the terrain editor again real quick, and we're going to flatten the terrain to the water. And we're going to take the paint tool, and we're going to paint over this land, and I'm just going to click so that it doesn't go through the ground and leave a bunch of canyons. So now you've got some water here and our deck over here. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to select all of this, and I'm going to change this to 80, 80, 80, and I'm going to change this to concrete. And the next step is I'm going to make some support beams. So I'm going to make these about 4x4 studs wide, and I'm going to bring this out a little bit further, and we're going to put these on the corners first, and I'm going to bring these all the way to the lake floor. And we're going to detail these later on. We're just roughing out the shape of our lake house for now, and then we'll add the details later on. And then I'm going to snap this into the middle here. Same with this one. And so that's going to be our support beams. You can add more if you want, but I think I'm happy with what I have right now. I may add more in the future. But, so the next thing I want to do is I'm going to add a lip. The reason why I'm going to go ahead and do that now, even though it's a detailed feature, is because it's going to be harder to do that with a house already on the foundation. So I'm going to change the increment by 0.2. You just type in 0.2 on the number pad and then hit enter. And I'm going to make it about 0.4 studs tall. So I'd move it 2 studs, or by 2 increments. And I'm going to click the both, and I'm going to drag it out 2 times. And same with the sides here. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the rest of these. Okay, so now I have a lip to the foundation, to make it give it a little bit more of a realism to it. Give a little bit of realism, my bad. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to rough out the walls to our house to the way we want it to go. And so I'm going to start with the garage here. And the garage is going to be pretty basic for the most part. And I'm moving the wall about a stud back from the foundation. And make sure you snap it to the corner so that it's nice and flush and not with the surface and not floating. And I'm going to snap to scale. What I mean by that is scale it to the same width and all that so that it's even. And we're going to try to make this as even as possible so that it's easier for us to build. And I always start with 1 stud and go down smaller if I need to, because it makes things easier if you keep consistency between the increments that you use. Okay, so that's the garage wall. Now we're going to put the center connection piece of the house here, keeping it 1 stud off from the lip of the foundation edge there. Then on the bigger platform here, this is where I'm going to be doing a little bit of a change up, because in this picture you can see that this part is going to be about a square, but then you're gonna have a little bit piece here sticking out because of the roof. It supports the roof here and you have a beam here. But we have this piece right here that is jutting out, and so we're going to do the same thing here because I like that, how that it's set up like that. So I'm going to keep roughly the same setup, similar design, but not quite the same either. So we're going to keep this still off by a stud to keep consistency, obviously. But we don't want this to be flush to the end of this because there is a bit of a deck. So we're going to bring this back some. And leave a bit of a deck. And we're gonna make it about here. I think it'd be good. put the sidewall here. And I think right about here. So this is going to be the piece that juts out. I'm going to leave the back pretty flat because I think for the most part it already is, at least in the picture. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take the part picker and select the wall color so that we select all the wall pieces, and we're going to bring these up a little bit, but not a lot, about 5 studs. What I'm going to do to help me put it in Windows is I'm going to kind of map out where I want the rooms and such to be in the house. So, kind of, if you played Sims before, think to Sims and how you build your houses for this. So, this is going to be like the living area. This is the kitchen. This is the dining room. It's a bit big, but I have plans for that. And I'll do interior in a separate video. This is going to be exterior for this video. And the next video will be exterior. Or interior, my bad. So, this living room, this is the master bedroom, and this is the bathroom and the closet. Forgot to add the closet wall. And this is the laundry room, and this is a separate bedroom with a closet, and this is a bathroom. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to load character, the plugin, and I'm going to type in my username. But I cleared that out. And I'm going to spawn in the character. And it's going to bring it to the origin. So you have to click F on your keyboard for it to bring it to you. For Studio to teleport you to the part, my bad, the model. And I'm using this for a scale reference. So I'm going to roughen the door, and I'm going to do that with using a red part. So I'm going to change the color to a red, and I need to snap this to the center here. And I'm going to make it a little bit wider than it too, so it's not fighting with it. I'm going to make it about 3 times as wide as my Roblox character, and a bit taller than the Roblox character. And the reason why I'm making it double wide is because, or this wide, because there's still going to be a double wide door. And then I plan on having some windows here, like door windows. And then we're going to copy this red brick and we're going to scale it to be more of a bedroom door. So we're going to want it a little bit wider than the Roblox character, but just as tall as the door, or just as tall. So we're just gonna make it about that wide. And put the first door here. Okay, so I have the doors roughed in. So the next step is I'm going to bring up the garage to the height that I am going to make the house approximately. So I think about 24 studs might be good. And I'm going to bring these outer walls up a bit higher. So maybe 8, and let's copy those real quick. Up and see how big of a gap we're left with here. 8 studs, so I'm going to bring the undo that, and I'm gonna bring these down. So I'm gonna have these 7 studs. We're going to rough in the windows the same way we did the doors, but instead of putting it in the wall, we're going to, like we did with the doors, we're going to put a blue brick for windows as representation of windows, my bad. And so my first window I'm gonna have in here, because right here there's going to be a door window on the sides here. And I don't want the window to be cut by this wall, so I'm actually gonna bring these inner walls and up to 24 because they're not gonna have windows in them. So I might as well go ahead and do that so I can have a visual too. Makes it a little easier. So at the top of the garage here. Actually, we're gonna leave it down 1 stud, and you'll see why. But to the top of the garage, but down with stud, and you'll see why later on. And hit Control A to select all and turn cast shadow off, so that we can see easier. And we're gonna delete all of these except for 1, and we're gonna leave 1 to the side for reference. So I'm gonna make my windows 10 by 10 in the front here. And since this is a living room, I'm actually gonna make this more of a 20, because I want this to be a double wide window. And I'm gonna do the same over here. I'm trying to make this window in the center of this section here. Get about the same distance between on either side. Okay, so I built the walls around the windows, so now we're going to put the walls over the windows. So all you have to do is copy and paste the lower wall below and bring it up above the windows. Okay, now we have all of the windows, and I'm going to scale this back a bit. And we also need to put the wall over the door sections. So the doors are going to be just above the head, probably about 3 studs. Now we need to put our ceiling. So our ceiling's gonna be about a stud thick as well, like just like these walls are. And I'm going to put it inside the outside walls like this, and that is why we brought these inside walls down a stud so that it's not fighting with the ceiling surface. our next step is we're going to change the wall color and texture real quick. So we're going to take the part picker and select the walls, run filter. We're going to brick color, click more colors, and I'm going to bring up a picture of wood. If you're going to do like brick or something, pull up a picture of brick. So I'm going to go with this like grayish color here. And I'm going to over this and pick the base color. Not the grain, but the base color here. And I'm going to make mine a little bit darker. And click OK. So come back and have it this color. And actually want than that even. And then I'm going to change the material to wood. If you're doing brick, then put brick. And there'll be more detail done to this wall, but this is the base of it. I'm going to do the part of the roof that's this part right here. So we're going to add some wedges basically to put in the shapes of. What I find is easiest is taking one of these parts from your wall and scaling it edge to edge. This. So that you have this one part here. And snapping this to the center of this part you have here. So that you have the exact center of this whole area. And copy, paste, and rotate it over like that. And actually scale this back. And we can only do one at a time with the wedges because we flipped it around, so it's gonna scale the opposite way. If it was a regular brick, then it would scale just fine. So we're going to scale this to the back edge here. And obviously this roof is pretty shallow, so we're going to scale it up. I think that right there is pretty good. We're going to turn cast shadow off. And we're going to go to one of our to one of our wall pieces, and we're going to copy this color code. And you can do that by double clicking to highlight it and paste it here for these parts that we added. We're going to change those into the same material. Going to copy and paste this and bring it over here. So in my picture here, you can see that the roof, it's going to hang over this part, but it's going to be supported by these wooden beams. So we're going to do the same thing. And so on this house, we're going to do the same thing as we did with the garage. Grab a piece of the wall and scale it to the sides of the house so we can have the exact center. And we're going to snap this to the center of this piece. And copy, paste, bring this over. So now we have that part. And on my house, this is a little bit more shallow of a roof compared to the garage. And I'm gonna bring this over to this edge here. And this part of the house is going to be a little bit more shallow. So let's bring this in. So this is going to be scooched in about with about a, let's say a 4 stud overhang. And I'm gonna bring this down about 3 studs. I'm gonna bring this in until this corner is flush, or is like that. It's not like, you know, blocked off. So basically, we don't want it like that, and we don't want it all the way this way. We just want it scaled to, so it's just like that. Sorry, I don't have a very good description here, but I'm sure you can see what. So, this part's gonna be a little bit wonky considering it's not scaled inward. So, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna copy and paste this. And, I think I'm gonna delete one of these and scale this, the edge of this part right here. Basically, this is going to dip inward. Okay, so I decided this is gonna be just a big window, and that they're not gonna have a closet. And as you can see, I kind of did this in a bit. That way, it's a lot easier for me to work with. So I'm going to put the support beams a bit here real quick. Is going to be putting these little support beams, roof truss texture here, or not texture, but roof truss supports, whatever you want to call them. That's what we're going to do next. And so we're going to put in a new part. I'm going to cast shadow off again. And actually, I'm going to go up to lighting. So we're going to collapse workspace, go to lighting. And we're going to go down properties and go to geographic latitude. And we're going to rotate the sun to where we can see the best. And we'll change it to the lighting to look nice and pretty once we're done. I think this is going to be the best for me. So we're going to go to home and then select, and we're going to just drag this part along the wedge and go back to the F3X, and we're going to snap this to the top corner of the left wedge here, and we're going to bring this down to the bottom corner here. And I'm going to leave about a 1 stud overhang. And I'm going to go down to 0.2 increment, and I'm going to make this about 0.6 studs wide. And I'm going to keep it a stud tall because it's a pretty thick piece of wood. And actually, I would even make it even thicker than this even. So, I think I'm gonna make it 1.4 should be good. 1.4 studs, and then I'm going to grab a wedge, and I'm gonna go home, select, and I'm going to drag this over like that. So, we have it flush against this piece right here, and go back to F3X and snap the bottom corner, the other bottom corner of the support beam. We're gonna drag or snap the sorry. We're going to snap the with the scale tool as well so that it lines up in size. And then I'm gonna make this wedge at 1 stud this way. So it's gonna be 1.4 tall and then 1 stud wide. Actually, it needs to be a little bit more shallow. Gonna make it 0.8. There we go. And I'm going to do another custom color, and I'm going to pick the support beam color, and I'm going to turn cast shadow off, and also make this wood. And I'm going to copy and paste this and Control R to rotate it around and bring it over here. We're going to snap this bottom corner of the front part of the beam to the bottom corner of this. So now we have it on both sides. This is actually a little bit too dark, so fix that. There we go. Happy with that. And normally I'll gap fill this, but we want it to be but want this to come to a point. So I'm going to try and use these wedges to fill the gap. So that's pretty close right there. We're going to select all of this and hit Control G to group. And I'm gonna make these about 4 studs apart. So I'm gonna copy and paste and drag these. And now there's a bit of this right here, kind of like a little bit of space, and I'm just going to snap this last piece over. It's gonna be a little bit off, but it won't be too noticeable. And there is an overhang, so I'm going to bring out an extra piece so it hangs over like that. And I'm going to repeat these support beams on these other roofs. so I have the support beams and done, so now we need to make sure that none of them are sticking through the ceiling. Like so, to select something within a group, you have to hold down Alt and click. I'm going to delete the little wedges, because these are wedges that are sticking to from the ends of the support. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to put this layer right here that's under the shingle on top of that. So we're going to need the same colored wood. And if you don't want to copy in a group, you have to hit Control-C, Control-V. Don't copy with the F3X tool. We're going to snap this top corner here, and going to snap this bottom corner. And just a tiny bit of a overhang, so we're going to do 2.2 studs off. And I'm going to make this about 0.4 studs tall and hang it off a little bit here by 0.2 as well. And then I'm going to scale this all the way to the edge here and snap to the edge here so that it's scaled evenly, and 0.2 off there so that we have an even hang, or it's evenly hanging from each side. And actually I'll do 2.8 line. And we're gonna rotate this around and bring this over. And we're going to snap this bottom corner to the other bottom corner of this. And we're going to use these wedges that we used before and do the same thing, but it's going to be smaller. So we're going to scale this down so that it evenly lines up with that. And make it not as this way. Copy it, flip it around over here, and kind of just, it'll overlap at first, and we're going to take this corner. You're gonna have to angle your camera just right too. You're gonna take this corner and drag to this corner of this piece, and grab this corner of this piece and drag it to that corner. And then we're going to bring it up this corner to this corner. This corner we're going to drag down to this corner. And we're going to keep going back and forth between until it is lined up. And normally I would gap fill this, but it won't give us the point we are looking for. It'll just give us a flat point here, and we don't want that. We want it to be pointy. So that's pretty good. We're going to now scale these all the way to the edge here, this roof. And we're going to do the same thing to the rest of the room. now the last thing we need to do, that we did that, is add our shingle section. It's going to be the thinnest part of the roof, which is going to be the same process as the layer we just added, thinner. Okay, so now we have our roof, and we have this right here that sticks out of the roof, and I'm going to go ahead and build that. So this is kind of like an attic, I guess. And so I'm going to build it in like a room, still like a room, so I'm not gonna just put a square. Okay, so now we have our roofs. Next thing we're going to do is work on our window frames, and I'm gonna make mine the same color as the trim. And the other thing is I'm actually gonna make the top layer of the roof shingles a bit darker. have all the windows framed, and now the next step is framing the garage. And now we need to make front door. So I'm gonna use the same trim. To be in the center. Scale this down a bit. Do a thinner piece of wood down here. Out a bit. This is going to split this in third. Okay. Oh, 3 point, not 9. My bad. 3.3. So we'll just do 3.3 actually, because down one past this so that it's not fighting with this down here. It's a little hard to see, but this is what we're at right now. Now we're going to add the glass. And all we need to do for the glass is pretty simple. So we're going to snap it to the center edge inside the frame, that, and scale this in. And we're going to put glass, cast shadow off, to pick it. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and finish our door. So I'm going to go ahead and add a light so that this can be seen. So oh well, I'm going to this right here. So first step to do that would be the panel at the bottom. And actually, I think I'm just gonna have the glass at the top here, and then have the rest paneled. But so it'll be similar, but exactly the same. I think I'll do about like that. The windows. And I'm going to actually save these for the panels. So I'm going to scale this down. And build around this template here that I put. And going to put a inner frame to this. It's going to be a thin frame compared to actual windows that we framed. So we're going to go ahead and make the panels, and so bring this in by 0.2 and get a 0.2 panel, or yeah, a piece of wood that's about 2.2 stud stick above this, and we're going to lock in around where the panel should. let's see, I think I'll just do 2 of these on top of each other, basically. It may look a little off, but that's what I'm gonna go with. We're gonna use this right here, which 0.2 stud stick as well. And this is going to go in the center of these 2 rectangles that we have. And I'm going to snap this to the center of that and fill in this whole space. This. Maybe. And copy it down here. And then I'm going to go on to both and drag down one, actually 2 times, and then inward 2 times. And then we're going to copy the color over to these. Cast shadow. Next step is we're going to need a wedge and corner. And these are going to be, I think, 0.2 studs tall and wide. Make this a little shorter. I'm going to leave this down here to copy, and I'm going to make this a 2.2 all around. And we're going to copy this, snap it to the edge. And actually, we're going to scale this in point. Then we're going to put this all around the edges of these inner rectangles and the bigger rectangle. So the rectangle we just added and the frame. So it should look like this. Now notice these little corners are empty, and that's where this comes in handy. I'm going to use this around the inner rectangle that we have. Scale that. Just gonna put these on all. Now we are going to select this whole door. And we're gonna drag this to somewhere away from the house. And I'm going to bring this in by 0.2 studs on the inside of the door. And we're going to copy these panels front side. The inside of on the inside too. Then try to save the game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the whole door. And I'm going to export, right click the selection on the Explorer, click Export Selection, and I'm going to put it somewhere I can find it and name it door or whatever you do. And I'm going to not click spawn, we're going to insert object mesh part, and then see if it spawns. To spawn it in, you might have to drag it in. Hit F on your keyboard and it'll take you to it. Drag it up through the map. And go to the folder on the mesh ID to where you saved export and open. If it asks you to move it, just say no. You should have your door like this. Then we're going to copy color again. Good. And anchor it because it's a mesh part. And next thing is we want to go in the same place as the store. So we're going to line it up with this. Just to make sure I have it lined up, I'm going to change the color. So it looks like I do. It's all glitchy. I'm going to move this in the frame. Change the color back now that we got place. And I'm going to make my door just a little bit lighter. Then I'm going to copy the mesh and bring it over. And now we need to make the handles. So, what I'm going to do with this door is I'm going to group it and name it door. And, hit Control X to cut. And I'm going to put it in server storage for now. So right click server storage and paste into, just in case we need it again. And once we're done with our build, we could delete it. I just don't want to put it as a model because I don't feel the need to. So I'll just put server storage for now. Um, the handle, I'm just going to go with a simple handle personally. And I'm just gonna put one of those metal handles that are like straight. You'll see what I mean in a second. And then I'm going to change this to 80, 80, 80. Let's see how that looks. And metal. See how that looks. Oh, it's not even First I need to make sure it's on the door, so it's flush with the door. Since it's a mesh now, we can't snap it to the parts. Now, on the door, I'm going to make it 100 by 100 by 100, and turn the transparency up a little. Well, not transparency, reflectancy, my bad. Then I'm going to union the handle. And then, the next step be to put a hinge, I guess. So, I'm going to actually grip this, the door, and I'm going to name this R door for right door. And I'm going to do the same thing with this one. And the reason why we're doing this is because I want to make this door open. So I'm going to name this L door. And okay, we're going to continue putting the hinge in. This is going to be the point in which the door opens. But here, and then we're going to, I'll put minus smooth plastic, cache off, and transparency on completely to 1. And name the part by right-clicking it and changing it to hinge. And we're going to actually cut that and paste into right door. Actually, no, we're not. We're going to do that. We're going to just drag it in there. There we go. And BC. And we're going to put this on the left door over here. Where it should open. And we're going to drag this into because I forgot to do this is we need a handle inside, of course, so copy and paste with F3X inside, which would be Shift C, and drag this in. Share this flush with the door. And you hold Alt, by the way, to go into the mod. Now, both sides. Make sure it's in. And we're going to change the handle name. So this I named handle 1. Change this to handle 2. And same thing with this one. Handle 2. And now, and then one of your doors, add a script. We're gonna name it door script. And we're going to put local hinge equals script. You'll get these suggestions. If you want it to type that, hit enter. Script dot parent with a capital P. This capitalization is very important in scripting, so keep that in mind. Then put part primary part, and we're going to make hinge a primary part. Actually, we're going to click the group, select door, and it says primary part here. We're going to click that, and we're going to click the mesh part, which is door, and we're actually going to name that door. Same with this one. So this right here that we typed is a variable. So it's basically saying it's basically I guess the best way to explain it is kind of like a shortcut. And like I said, I don't really know much scripting. I only know a little. And only reason why I'm able to do this is because I've done it a few times. I still have to reference a script to be able to do this. But this right here is a variable, and this is basically going into the script parent primary part. So script, this is the parent, and then primary part is what we set this to, which is the door. And actually, we're supposed to set to hinge. That's my mistake. So go to the primary part and click hinge. That's what I meant to do on both doors. So the script is inside the parent, which is L door, and the primary part is set to the hinge, which is this. So next we're going to type local opened equal false. So we're basically telling the script that the door is open right now. Function open door with the 2 parentheses. We're not going to put any space. Hit enter. If opened equal false, then open equal true. So it's saying if the door is open, then it's so it's saying if the door is open is false, so it's not open. Then open the door basically. So for I equal 1, comma space 21, do script dot parent semicolon or colon set primary C frame, and I'm gonna put hinge dot C frame times or asterisk. I call it stars, so. And we're gonna put C frame dot angles. Have the two more parentheses. 0, comma math dot raid. I don't know what it means actually. And then 5. Then after this end, we hit enter and then type else. Enter opened equal false. Okay, after the 5, we actually do comma or outside the parentheses, my bad, comma 0 space comma 0 comma space 0, my bad. And we're going to do actually enter after this and put wait. And we're not going to put anything in the wait. And we're going to copy up to the for I part from wait. And after the false, we're going to hit enter and paste what we have. And then we're going to have to put enter, type end. Let's get that back. And we're going to do -5, so it's the opposite of this. So this basically opens the door right here, and then this is going to close the door. In the handles, we are going to put click detector in them so that we can call them in the script, but also can detect the player clicking. Next we script parent handle 1 click detector mouse click connect open door. And then we're going to copy this and change the 1 to. The last thing we're going to do is make sure our hinges are cancelled false so that people aren't running into them and stuff. And then we're going to test. So I just got spawned in the middle of nowhere, so I'm going to have to enter the spawn. Just going to select it from the home tab, model tab, my bad. We're going to put it on the deck for now. The click detector works, your cursor will definitely change. And here we go. We opened our door, closed it, opened, closed. So we're going to go into this model and we're going to copy this script and go to our red door, paste into, and the last thing we need to do is we are going to copy one of our windows for the glass, and I'm gonna put the glass in the door. And we're going to drag okay, for the right door, we're just gonna flip these numbers around. So this first number, we put -5, and then we put the 5. And now if you test it, it's going to open the same as the left door. And then close them. Gonna close the same. So now we got doors that open. So we can close out of those. We got our doors. And the next thing is the support beams over here. And the shelves under the windows. First, I'm going to start with the shelves. I'm going to copy this frame and bring it below window frame like that. And then it's just straight across. So do it like that. I had it on both, my bad. That, and do the same thing over here. And we'll also put an awning over here. We'll get to that in a moment. So, I'm gonna copy this, and I'm gonna put the size 111 to like start fresh. And I forgot I actually put those there, so I'm gonna copy the color and change the color of these. And actually, I'm gonna use these. So now there's that. And actually, it shows in the picture that there's like this part here sticks out, but I personally don't want to do that. And what I will do actually stick this, bring these out by 0.2, these supports. Make sure that's, it is fighting. So actually, to prevent that, I'll just copy this, do a 0.2 plank basically. So now there's no sieve fighting. This down here. And I think I'm gonna bring this around the entire house, like this. So that there's like a frame, no, not a frame, edge, wooden, dark wooden edges around. You'll see what I mean here in a moment. Alright, so here's what I mean by bring it all around the house. So I have this like trim around the house now. Actually, I'm gonna add it around the corners too, like this. So give me another second. And so now I'm going to create an awning for over here, and it'll be something like this, but not a part of the roof. It's going to be its own thing. So make a new part, and I'll put about 7 studs above the door, I guess. Rotate down a couple degrees, or a couple turns. There we go. And scale it out. And I'm gonna make it a bit wider than the door. So in this picture, actually, it has just the support beam, like this. And it's not under anything, it's just the bottom part. So I'm going to make a copy. 2. And I'm gonna make it the same thickness as these, and these are 0.6 studs thick. So it's 6 and 1.4 tall. Copy this color as well. And I'm gonna snap this to the awning there, and to copy one of these wedges actually down here. This is gonna be the same spacing. And we're gonna use this part that we as a template on top of this. So now we got the awning, but then we need the support beams. we're going to add some detail to the columns down here. What I'm going to do is move this in 0.2 each side like that, and bring slide over actually. So you guys can see, and then actually before we do that, I'm going to like a cap here, I guess you could say. About 1.4 is good. Then one that's a little thinner, like that. Copy that, bring this down, and bring this in 5.4 each side actually. Then I'm gonna bring this down and copy these. Flip these upside down, bring it down to 4 bottom. That. We're gonna bring this down. Then copy this. Get a 0.2 plank. Flat up against it. And we're gonna make it 0.6 is good. And copy this over. The back side. So it should look like something like that. And I'm going to grab a wedge. It's gonna in the corners here. Then the last thing I'm gonna do is copy one of the front panels on the leg support. Snap it to that. Grab the bottom, size it up, and get. Okay, this is 0.6 stud. So 6 that. Down. And I'm going to separate this by like 6 studs difference. And that's actually fine if it's like that down here. I think that'll be good. We're just gonna copy all of these around this pillar. Okay, so that's one column. And I'm going to copy all of it. Sure, I don't grab anything else besides this. And going to move it to, so it's like this. And I'm going to hit Control G to group. And I'm going to press these. Okay. So I got those, and now I'm going to add some concrete support beams in like shape of triangles. So grab this. And get the same height as that. And use the rotate tool on this top corner. Bring it down 6 degrees, I guess. See? I think that's a little too far down. Let's up a bit. Still too far down, actually. To 65. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make this one a little thicker and a little wider. Same with that. Since I did that, I need to bring this down. And copy this. Like that. So you've got the supports the way I want them to be. Next up, I'm going to wood panels. So this house has vertical wood panels over here. I'm going to the same wood panels throughout. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to make it 1 by 1 by 1 to get a fresh start. I'm going to make it 0.2. But since these are 0.2, we're going to actually make this 0.1. And snap it to the corner here, and we're actually going to lighten this up a little bit. And I'm gonna make, yeah, I should probably leave it. I'm gonna do 1, 2. And so we're going to leave like a 0.2 gap. That. And if this happens, you just need to build it around, copy it. So Okay, so we have finished putting the wood siding on this house. The next thing I'm going to do is just put some rails on this house. So, it'll be pretty much pretty simple. Just going to put regular part and I'm going to put it these at 6 by 6. Offset these at 0.4 and I'm going to make this about studs tall. Okay, short. Actually, let's see how tall it is compared to a character. So, yeah, we want it to be shoulder height. And, see, this platform is 127.8 studs. So, I guess I'll do it by 9 studs. Have these 9 studs separated. Try to get closest to most even spacing as. Okay, so some parts are gonna be a little bit off, but it'll be okay. I'm gonna have that up against the wall there, and then this I'm going to make a gate, and I'm just going to make this a pretty simple gate or fence, and this down a couple studs and in, and I guess I'll keep it same width, it's flat, and I'll do space out like that. You know, have deck. Um, the last thing, actual last thing I'll probably do is the chimney. I would put shingles, but it's kind of, it'd take a really long time, and that's a lot of parts for something that's not gonna matter too much. So we're just gonna add a chimney instead, so I can show you guys how I'd lay stone down. So, going to chimney in the back of the house, right about here. And I make it like 8 studs. 8 studs basically. That. And then bring this up a bit. copy these. About 2 studs tall, bring this out a stud. To the side. Go this lip with the chimney. And save. I'd recommend saving every 30 minutes. Cast shadow off, and I'm gonna make the base of this chimney 50 concrete. And so the next step is making those stones, and they're pretty simple. The hardest part is properly staggering so that they look nice. So, I'm gonna do 80, 80, 80 on this, and they're gonna also be concrete. And next one, we put 0.2 spacing. The next one's gonna be 90, 90, 90. Actually, make that 100. 100, 100, 100. Then third one, I'll do. And I'm going to kind of just go between these two. Something like these 3 colors, and we're gonna do something like this to make it multicolored. It's more simpler with doing the same color. And I think we'll do a 0.1 gap because 0.2 seems a bit too much with the stone. So when you're staggering, you're basically going to want 1 brick. Yeah, I'll have this first row, and then you'll have a brick directly in the middle of this piece right here, in between this line. And you want your other brick to be the same way. And kind of just gotta play with like how you want it to stagger as well. So then bring this down. Then I'm going to just copy this row, it down. And if you want to change them up more, you can, but I'm just going to copy these two rows, basically. Just bring them to each other. Okay. So it's finished, and you'll notice it's not as like clean as this right here on the rest of these. If you want it to be like lined up, you have to change the colors. So like this would match this one basically, so that it looks more like this. But so like this is 80, 80, 80. So I would basically select all these, change those. This is 120, so select all of these. That way you have clean side. This right here is 100, so we'll select all of these that can join with it. Alright, now you have cleaned up the chimney. Oh, it's like all cleaned up now, and nice and cleaned up now is what I was trying to say. And um, if you don't like that, if yours have like a pattern like mine, just like I said, just change colors until you're happy with it. Sometimes it takes fiddling with the colors to become happy with it, but I'm fine with mine. So I'm gonna change this because I think it's too dark. And I'm gonna change it to a lighter color because usually the tops of chimneys are a bit lighter. And I think okay. There we go, that's better. So delete these light sources. And now for the finishing touches. And there we have it. Our house is complete. Well, the exterior, that is. And I will be showing you how to build the interior and the furniture, even a boat. But they will be in separate videos. And if you are interested in seeing those, please subscribe. And if this video helped you, please leave a like. And if you have any feedback or questions, please comment down below.